All right, hi. Thank you for helping me out. I've got a few jokes from the Disney Jungle Cruise game I was hoping I could try on you. So the first one is when you approach some lions. Our lions are the pride of the jungle. So when you approach the bathing pool of elephants, feel free to take the elephant's picture. They've all got their trunks on. And the last one's the water buffalo. Aw, he's leaving. Bye, son. The Disney Jungle Cruise adventure game is a distillation of the ride that can be found in the Disneyland park. Just like its counterpart, it offers interesting sights and ridiculous, albeit charming banter from your skippers, which in this case is you. The game puts players at the helm of the ride and switches out exhausted park goers with passengers eager to get from point A to point B, essentially making this a racing game. Players start with a boat full of passengers, then roll a die. If they approach a mailbox or an outpost, they instantly stop. They then reveal 4 adventure cards and choose which to face, equal to the amount of spaces they move. Players roll the required amount of dice for each challenge and potentially lose passengers or cargo. However, cargo and passengers can be found through normal spaces by picking up lost and found, or when you stop at an outpost. Now, boat management in this game, just like in the ride itself, is incredibly important. They would never put me and someone else of my weight on the same side of the boat if there wasn't someone to counterbalance us. Similarly, in this game, you can lose the passengers or the cargo that you have depending on the challenges that you have to face. And choosing where you shift around the cargo or the passengers is important because knowing certain information is important. Only a handful of cards are going to affect the cargo or people that you've put in the middle. Or you could essentially empty out one portion of the boat, making yourself immune to any challenges that would harm anything on that side of the boat. Each player also has a flare tile that they can use. This allows them to reroll any die result they didn't like. Once this ability is used, however, it can't be used again until an outpost is passed. Then there's the letter spaces. The board has a number of shortcuts and forks, and each passenger belongs to either 1 or 2 families. One of these families will be worth more points at the end of the game, and that family is the one listed on the envelope token at the very end. However, the only way to get information as to who it might be is to find out who it's not. Each mailbox space offers a peek at which of the families aren't worth the bonus, but this often slows you down. And that's the decision point, is figuring out how important is it for you to find out which family is the one that gets the bonus. That gives you information on which passengers to potentially throw out, or is it worth it to try to get to the end to earn some of the bonus points faster? Certainly you can earn just as many points by collecting sets of cargo, but if you know exactly which family to start collecting, that then is an opportunity for you to get ahead in the game. But again, it's going to slow you down. The player that reaches the end first doesn't end the game. They pick up the highest coin token available, which is worth face value points. For every turn that a player has, if there's someone still making their way to the finish, they grab another token. The game ends when all tokens are gone, or everyone makes it back. Points are tallied, and the winner is declared. Now, I'm a little perturbed with Disney and Ravensberger because they're, turns out, creating 2 versions of this game. One of them you'll be able to get widely anywhere. The second, however, you have to get from the Disneyland park. And I'm not so perturbed that it's there. I'm more disappointed in myself and the strong urge I feel to get that as soon as possible. Because the strongest thing that this game has going for it is its theme and nostalgia factor, which for me, in conjunction with Disney and especially the Disneyland park, oh, it's pretty strong. I'm going to jump into pros and cons, but I want to start with the neutral, and this is something that I like to emphasize, is that you need to understand the weight of this game. This is a light game. This is something that I would consider maybe a Monopoly replacement, in that it's a game that would be widely acceptable for anyone that would have any interest in playing a board game, even if the only board game they've encountered is something like Monopoly. It's got that familiar roll and move feel to it. There are decisions that you can make, but the decisions aren't all that difficult. It's a very simple game to explain. It's a simple game to play, and it's a familiar theme for a lot of people, and it's an interesting, fun theme, but it's not as random as something like Monopoly, and it doesn't take near as long. To me, the mixture of high entertainment value with low barrier of entry, that's the sweet spot and where this is sitting. It's sitting as a game that is a Monopoly replacement, something that I would bust out if I just wanted to play a nice, easy game that has not a ton to think about, but still not just completely random. Now, the first con is the fact that you are flipping at least four cards every single time, and that gets pretty repetitive. especially when you are burning through the deck that quickly when you've got a higher player count and you have to reshuffle. It just is a lot. It's a lot of card handling and a lot of repetitive stuff. Having to draw 4 cards every single turn slows things down dramatically. Which brings me to con 2, which is if people aren't paying attention on their turn or they're moseying along, it can drag the game out. Even though it's not an incredibly long game, if you're playing with 4 players and each player in between you is taking their time and drawing the cards, reading, talking, trying to figure out what they're going to do, it can cause it to drag a little bit. And so that's what this game is battling with the con. It's battling the boredom. You know, it's a great looking game. It's easy to play, but if you're not careful and you're playing with a group that's taking too long or doesn't have the same mindset as you as to what they want the pacing to be for it, you run into an issue where the game is going to snag a little bit. But jumping into the pros, which I've sort of touched on a little bit already, is the theme and the presence of the game is top notch. I love that the board itself is a map of the actual Jungle Cruise ride. It brings up so many memories and just full-on nostalgia factor for me. I mean, even the naming of the boats, the different jokes on the cards are the jokes that you would hear from the skippers themselves. The only variation I've ever heard from a Jungle Cruise ride was the instance of where our skipper accidentally hit another boat and had no idea what to do and started firing her warning pistol up into the air multiple times and then sat at the bottom of the boat. It's the only variation I've seen in my 32 years of... Am I 32 years old? No. Not yet, September. And so yeah, busting this game out, seeing the cards, reading the jokes, seeing the map and the names of the boats and everything about it, it is everything that I would hope from a Jungle Cruise game. And the decisions are simple enough that I can sit down and play with my kids, even though they're a little bit younger. I can tell them what their decisions to make are, and they can give me a run for my money. And we can re-experience the joy of the Jungle Cruise ride from our own living room. The game isn't heavy, and the decisions you make aren't that difficult, but there are decisions to make, which instantly makes it a lot better than some of the more traditional mass market games that I grew up with, and makes it more interesting and better than the traditional mass market games that a lot of our families enjoy and play and haven't branched out from. This is a fantastic jumping off point to show off some of the cool things hobby board games have to offer. There's certainly still decisions to be made. You have to figure out when to take the shortcuts, which type of cargo to load, how to maneuver your boat, or how to load the cargo and passengers, where to put them on your boat. They're these small decision points that put you in control of the game and put people that aren't familiar with hobby board gaming as a whole into the control of their boat. It makes them the skipper of their own game and makes the entire process, the entire game more interesting without making it any more complicated than something like Monopoly. For me, the Jungle Cruise adventure game is a win. And with Funko coming out with a Haunted Mansion game, I can only hope that it won't be long before I can accumulate enough Disneyland attraction games to make my own Disneyland right on my own Kallax shelves. How about you? If you could make a game out of any Disneyland attraction, which would it be? Why? What's your favorite dumb skipper joke? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next time, and thank you so much for watching. The first one's when you approach a pride of lions. Pride of lions. Our lions are the pride of... Excuse me. This is when you approach a water buffalo.
Just do the elephant one.
Do the other... Okay, we'll do the elephant one. Okay, thank you.